Archaeologists announced they had unearthed the oldest Homo sapien remains ever discovered. Analysis reveals the fossils date back about 315,000 years, making them more than 100,000 years older than those previously thought to be the oldest. The history-altering fossils were found on a hillside in the Moroccan desert. Researchers recovered skull fragments, teeth, and other bones from 5 individuals, along with stone tools and evidence of fire usage. The discovery reveals that the bone structure of these early humans' faces are not much different from ours.
To me, it's quite striking is that the reason why we connect these people to us is their face, the way they look. So it's people we would recognize like us if we would cross them in the street.
The fossils also change the way we think about where early humans developed. They were discovered on the western edge of the African continent, thousands of miles away from the so-called Cradle of Humanity in Ethiopia, the site where the former oldest human remains were unearthed, challenging another fundamental idea, that our species evolved in just one location.
A world without black people. This is a story of a little boy named Theo who woke up one morning and asked, "Mom, what if there were no black people in the world?" Well, Mom thought about that for a moment and then said, "Son, follow me around today and let's see what it would be if there were no black people in the world. Get dressed and we will get started." Theo ran to his room to put on his clothes and shoes, but there were no shoes and his clothes were all wrinkled. He looked for the iron, but when he reached for the ironing board, it was no longer there. You see, Sarah Boone, a black woman, invented the ironing board, and Jan E. Matzingler, a black man, invented the shoelacing machine. "Oh well," Mom said, "go and do your hair." Theo ran to his room to get the comb, but the comb was not there. You see, Walter Salmons, a black man, invented the comb. Theo decided he'll just brush his hair, but the brush was gone too. Lydia O. Newman, a black female, invented the brush. Well, he was a sight. No shoes, wrinkled clothes, hair a mess, without the hair care inventions of Madam C.J. Walker. Well, you get the picture. Mom told Theo, "Let's do the chores around the house and then take a trip to the grocery store." Theo's job was to sweep the floor. He swept and swept and swept. When he reached for the dustpan, it was not there. You see, Lloyd P. Ray, a black man, invented the dustpan. So he swept his pile of dirt over in the corner and left it there. He then decided to mop, but the mop was gone. You see, Thomas W. Stewart, a black man, invented the mop. Theo thought to himself, "I'm not having any luck." "Well, son," Mom said, "we should wash the clothes and prepare a list for the grocery store." When he was finished, Theo went to place the clothes in the dryer, but it was not there. You see, George T. Salmon, a black man, invented the clothes dryer. Theo got a pencil and some paper to prepare his list for the market, but noticed that the pencil lead was broken. He was out of luck because John Love, a black man, invented the pencil sharpener. He reached for the pen, but it was not there because William Purvis, a black man, invented the fountain pen. As a matter of fact, Lee Burgess invented the typewriter and W.A. Leavitt the printing press. So they decided to head out to the market. Well, when Theo opened the door, he noticed that the grass was high and tall. You see, the lawnmower was invented by John Burr, a black man. They made their way over to the car and found that it just would not go. You see, Robert Spikes, a black man, invented the automatic gear shift, and Joseph Gammel invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines. They noticed that a few cars that were moving were running into each other and having wrecks because there was no traffic signal. You see, Garrett A. Morgan, a black man, invented the traffic light. Well, it was getting late, so they walked to the market, got their groceries, and returned home. Just when they were about to put the milk, eggs, and butter away, they noticed the refrigerator was gone. You see, John Standard, a black man, invented the refrigerator, so they put the food on the counter. By this time, they noticed it was getting mighty cold. Theo went to turn up the heat, and what do you know? It was not there. You see, Alice Parker, a black female, invented the heating furnace. Even in the summer, they would have been out of luck because Frederick Drones, a black man, invented the air conditioner. It was almost time for Theo's father to arrive home. He usually took the bus, but there was no bus because its precursor was the electric trolley, invented by another black man, Elbert T. Robinson. He usually took the elevator from his office to get on the 20th floor, but there was no elevator because Alexander Miles, a black man, invented the elevator. He usually dropped off the office mail at the nearby mailbox, but it no longer was there because Philip Downing, a black man, invented the letter drop box, and William Barry invented the post-making and canceling machine. Theo sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. When his father arrived, he asked, "Why are you still sitting in the dark?" Why? Because John Howard Latimer, a black man, invented the filament within the light bulb. Theo quickly learned what it would be like if there were no black people in the world, not to mention if you were sick and needed blood. Charles Drew, a black scientist, found a way to preserve and store blood, which led to his starting the world's first blood bank. And what if a family member had to have heart surgery? This would not have been possible without Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a black doctor who performed the first open heart surgery. So if you ever wonder, like Theo, where would the world be without blacks? Well, it's pretty plain to see. We could very well still be in the dark. This was written by Barbara Leahy in 1998.
Thunder, Alafia, Asher, African kings ruled rich and vast empires many centuries before any other civilization, and with this came immense power and wealth. Welcome to Tunachiki, and in this video, Tunachiki presents the top 10 most powerful African kings. If you like informative and educational videos on Africa, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch all our latest videos. Number 10. King Afonso I from Congo. Also known as Mdevanzinga, this African ruler reigned over the vast and wealthy Congo region. He is popularly known as the son of Mani Congo. He reigned from 1506 to 1545. Number 9. King Oba Oware from Benin. Oba Oware is known as the first king of the Benin Empire, the reformer of the Benin city, and one of the first warrior kings of West Africa. He was also known to have established several cultural traditions, communal events, and festivals. Number 8. Osei Kofi Tutu from Ghana. In 1701, Osei Kofi Tutu, chief of the small Akan city-state of Kamusi, helped form the Ashanti Empire by unifying other Akan groups. He did this by influencing other Akan and by overthrowing others, as well as conquering several other neighboring states. Number 7. Menes, the first pharaoh of Kemet, from Egypt. He was the first true pharaoh of Egypt, known as Nema, also as Menes. He is known to have united Lower and Upper Egypt and was the first king of the first dynasty and the beginning of the Old Kingdom. Number 6. Taraka, king of Nubia. Taraka, also known as Tiraka, was the fourth king of Egypt. Early in his reign, he supported Palestine's resistance against the king of Assyria. He held control of Egypt until he was completely defeated, after which he fled south to Nubia, where he died and was buried in a large pyramid at Nuri. Number 5. King Soni Ali of Nigeria. King Soni Ali, also known as King Suni Ali Daya, was born in Ali Kolon. Soni was a brilliant military mind and led the largest imperialist mission in West Africa. He expanded his kingdom by attacking the land and neighboring communities down till the Niger River. During his reign, the Songhai Empire reached its pinnacle, surpassing the Great Mali Empire and absorbing it into its territory. Number 4. King Shamba Bololongo of Congo. King Shamba Bololongo was the 93rd king of Congo, who introduced weaving and textiles manufacturing to his people. He was also the first Kuba ruler to have his portrait carved in wood. Shamba Bololongo portrait established the tradition of self-portraiture among the Kuba people. Number 3. Emperor Menelik II from Ethiopia. Emperor Menelik II was one of Ethiopia's greatest leaders, ruling as king and emperor of Ethiopia from 1889 to 1913. Throughout his reign, he expanded the empire to almost its present-day borders, repelling an Italian invasion in 1896 and carried out a wide-ranging programs to modernize the country. Number 2. King Shaka Zulu from South Africa. Shaka was a great Zulu king and conqueror. During his reign, he stopped the use of long spears which warriors would throw at the enemy and instead introduced the short spear known as the Ikwala. He became so feared and well known that even in other tribes and kingdoms, he earned the nickname of Nodumeheleli, which means the one who, when seated, causes the earth to rumble. Number 1. King Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa was the emperor of the Great Mali Empire during the 14th century. He is regarded as the richest person to have ever lived on this planet. It is estimated until today his wealth has not yet been surpassed by any other human being. His caravan was said to have consisted of 60,000 people carrying bags of supplies and wealth, 500 servants each carrying gold staffs, and 100 camels each carrying 300 pounds of gold dust. It is said that he once gave out so much gold in Cairo that the value stayed relatively low for many years to come.
Throughout African history, women have played hugely significant roles in the story of the continent and how it's evolved.
Call them whatever you like: boss ladies, feminists, women rights activists, dictators. These African queens and warriors led men to war, ruled kingdoms, and called the shots.
Throughout the ages, some women have managed to dominate in a man's world. They gained unprecedented power, riches, and glory, which made them respectable rulers of the land. These powerful figures had significant influence over the affairs of the kingdom. They led the kingdom with precision, creating a dynamic environment for the common folk. But every ruler has their own story to tell. Let's take a look at some of the most powerful queens in African history. Number 1. Queen Hatshepsut, Ancient Egypt. Rule 1507 BCE to 1458 BCE. Hatshepsut was the first female pharaoh to rule Egypt as a principal monarch. At first, she was the regent to the young Thutmose III, but she carried out a remarkable power play, which landed her at the throne. She held the seat for 20 years. During her reign, the land prospered. She renewed trade with the Aegean Islands to the north, Western Asia to the east, and Punt to the south. She undertook massive architectural projects, including the obelisks at Djeser, which was her mortuary temple, and at Karnak. Many historians consider Hatshepsut to be one of Kemet's most successful pharaohs. Queen Nefertiti, Ancient Egypt. Rule 1353 BCE to 1336 BCE. Some historians estimate that Nefertiti might have acted as her husband's co-ruler instead of his consort. She played a key role in religion alongside King Akhenaten. Nefertiti is known for changing the traditional polytheistic religion in Egypt to a monotheistic one. By the 5th regnal year of Akhenaten, Aten became the main national god. This change was most likely meant to give Nefertiti more power within the official. She, without a doubt, remains some of the most influential queens in ancient Egypt. Number 3. Queen Amina of Zaria, rule 1576 to 1610, also known as the Warrior Queen. Amina, Queen of Zaria, was the first woman to become queen in a male-dominated society. She remained at the seat of power for 34 years and managed to expand her kingdom through conquests. She also opened up valuable trade routes, which brought prosperity to the land. Under her rule, the kingdom controlled more territory than any other ruler before. To protect and mark her land, Amina used earthen walls to surround her cities. These walls became common until the British conquest of Zaria in 1904. Here's an interesting legend. It is said that in every town she went, Amina took a new lover, but every single one of them would meet a terrible fate the next morning. They would be beheaded so that no one would survive to tell the tale. Number 4. Queen Kundake Amanirenas, the Kingdom of Kush, rule 40 BCE to 10 BCE. In 30 BCE, Caesar Augustus conquered Egypt. Right after his triumphant victory, the Roman emperor focused his attention on the Kingdom of Kush, but Kundake Amanirenas was ready. She led her army against the Romans in a war that lasted for 3 years. It is because of the Kushite army that the southward expansion of Rome came to a halt. After the first battle, the Kushite army took 3 Roman cities and many Roman captives. They also destroyed a number of monuments dedicated to Caesar Augustus. Rome continued to fight. It reclaimed some of its lost cities and targeted Kush, but the queen never faltered. Despite losing an eye, she healed and returned to battle. During the Meroitic War, Queen Kundake lost her son. In 22 BCE, Kush and Rome agreed to a peace treaty. This meant that the Kushites would keep their territories. The Romans also took their army out of Egypt. Compared to the other nations near its borders, the Kingdom of Kush didn't send any resources or paid tribute to Rome. Number 5. Queen Makeda, Ethiopia, rule 10th century BCE. The Ethiopian Makeda, also known as the Queen of Sheba, is a mysterious and majestic ruler. Not much is known about her, but based on the references in the Hebrew Bible and later in the Islamic Quran, experts estimate she was referred to as a rich, gorgeous, and intellectual queen. During her reign, there was someone who caught her attention. King Solomon had a great reputation in the ancient world as the wisest of all kings. Makeda had long heard of his wisdom and longed to visit him. She assembled a large retinue, carrying gifts to pay homage to the great king. The queen received a warm welcome and tested his knowledge with a wide range of riddles and questions. The Old Testaments claim that Makeda was impressed with Solomon's kingdom and his intellect. They may or may not have had an affair, but the royal family of Ethiopia does claim a lineage that traces back to King Solomon. Number 6. Queen Ya Asantewa, Ashanti Empire. Rule: 1880s. Ya Asantewa was the queen mother of the Ashanti Empire at the start of the 20th century. She remains a powerful symbol today. Before earning the title Queen Mother in the 1880s, she was a skilled farmer. Some believe she was chosen as the main advisor to the king because of the matrilineal aspect of the Ashanti culture. Her older brother was a strong ruler at the time, which might have paved the way for her to be appointed to this role. Nevertheless, she held the second highest position in the Ashanti Empire. Throughout her life, Asantewa saw a number of life-changing events. The Civil War from 1883 to 1888 posed a severe threat to the Ashanti Empire. Her grandson, whom she nominated as the next Ejesuheni, was exiled by the British, which led her to become the regent of the Ejesu-Juaben district. Asantewa was dedicated to protecting the sacred symbol of the Ashanti, known as the Golden Stool. Ya Asantewa participated in secret meetings against the British and reminded the people of the bravery of the Asante. Her inspiring, courageous, and impressive words led to the Ashanti Uprising. Ya Asantewa was elected as the only and first woman war leader in Asante history. She led 5,000 warriors and bravely fought against the British invaders. Number 7. Queen Nandi, Zulu Kingdom. Rule: 1816 to 1827. Queen Nandi of the Zulu Kingdom was a powerful figure with a complex history. She had a remarkable legacy intertwined with that of her son, Shaka Zulu. Those who didn't cry at her funeral were most likely executed. This heroine overcame the animosity and rejection of her people. She dedicated her entire life to her children and opened the path for her son, King Shaka Zulu, to transform and reshape the Zulu kingdom into one of the most formidable civilizations. Nandi had an affair with Sinza Kakona Kajama, the king of the Zulu, and was impregnated out of wedlock. Sinza Kakona tried denying paternity a number of times, but had to eventually marry Nandi. She was highly shamed and placed in a lowly position of a third wife. Shaka and Nandi were consistently bullied and tormented, which is why she took her son and fled. Over time, she taught her son values and molded him into one of the greatest kings. After the death of Sinza Kakona, Shaka was compelled to return to the tribe and reclaim his throne. After all those years, he still remembered how the tribe treated him and his mother. So, he appointed Nandi as the Queen of Zulu and his personal advisor. He held his mother in high regard and never married. Together, they expanded the kingdom and fought slave traders. Number 8. Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. Rule: Ndongo, 1624 to 1663, and Matamba, 1631 to 1663. Nzinga was a powerful woman and an exceptional leader. She distinguished herself through espionage and military tactics, which helped her form numerous strategic alliances and gather knowledge of religious problems and trade. These efforts helped her resist the aspirations of Portugal's colonialists. Nzinga inherited the throne of Ndongo. During this period, the kingdom was under attack from neighboring aggressors and the Portuguese, so Nzinga made the strategic decision to reposition her land as an intermediary instead of a supply zone in the slave trade. She formed an alliance with Portugal and ended the Portuguese slave raiding in the kingdom. But in 1626, Portugal betrayed Ndongo, and the queen fled with her people to the west. Here, they founded a new state called Matamba. To strengthen her forces, the queen provided sanctuary to runaway slaves and soldiers. She then formed a military organization called Colombo, training the youth to fight against the Portuguese. She instigated a rebellion in Ndongo, but failed to drive out the Portuguese from the region. Nevertheless, by the time of her death, Matamba was a remarkable commercial state that fought with the Portuguese on equal ground. Number 9. Queen Moremi, Ile-Ife Kingdom, Nigeria. Rule: 12th century. Queen Moremi was a folk heroine and a legendary Yoruba queen. She helped liberate her kingdom from the Ugbo kingdom. She was a gorgeous and brave woman. During the 12th century, her homeland was constantly raided by its neighboring tribe. During a siege, she offered herself to be captured by the raiders and taken as a slave. Because of her beauty, the Igbo ruler took her as his queen consort. She learned the secrets of her husband's army and escaped to Ile-Ife. She then revealed her intel, which the Yorubas used to defeat the Ugbo kingdom in battle.
A Black American from Atlanta named Dexter just found out that he is a direct descendant of King Ramses III of Egypt.
You have such an interesting history. Please explain what made you do a DNA test, and then what happened when you found out all of a sudden that you're related to Ramses III?
That's a great question, Emily. Well, about a year and a half ago, I traveled to places like Israel, France, and different places like that. So what happened was people would always ask a normal question, where are you from? And I would say the States, United States. And the people I saw in France would say, no, where are you really from? And I said, the States, that's all I know. And so that question stuck with me for a long time. And I just said, where am I actually from? I mean, I know I'm American, but where my DNA is from? And so I said, well, let me take my DNA test. It was a 23andMe DNA test. And I took the test, and I was shocked when I saw the results. It came back, and it showed that I was actually a direct descendant of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And I knew nothing of the pharaohs. Didn't know much about Egypt, but everything you hear about, Bible stories and things like that. So for me, it was a huge shock, and that's how I found out about it.
Wow. So obviously you took it deeper and deeper. You saw all of these synchronicities in looking at images of the pharaoh, how much you and even your brother look like them, and your own company has like an eye logo that looks like the Eye of Horus, unconnected to any of this. So what did this open up for you in terms of your own knowledge and learning about this?
I remember I was actually laying in my bed on Christmas Day 2021, and I was going through my 23andMe DNA test, and that's when I saw that I was connected to the Pharaoh Ramses III. And again, I knew nothing of this situation. And so I looked up a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III, and when I saw the sculpture, I literally screamed. And my wife said, Dexter, what's wrong? I said, this guy from 4,000 years ago, we look just alike. And she said, Dexter, wait a minute. There were no pictures from 4,000 years ago. I said, no, his sculpture was the Pharaoh Ramses III. His sculpture, we look like identical twins. And she said, let me see it. She saw it. She said, oh my goodness. And then I continued to go over different sculptures, looking online. And I saw the sculpture that looked just like my brother. If you could show that on the screen, it'd be absolutely amazing. But it was, and I looked at the sculpture and I said, this looks just like my brother Joe. And I called my brother Joe and said, I'm going to send you something. And he said, where'd you get that from? It looks just like me. I said, that's a sculpture of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And he said, oh my God, I said, that's over 4,000 years old and looks identical, just like you. So we were blown away, completely blown away.
Uh-oh. This is not going to go with the narrative the European archaeologists want us to believe. So I'm not sure what they're going to say, but I can see it coming. I can see them sitting down and coming up with an explanation as to how this Black American is a direct descendant of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Explain that to us kindly, because you seem to think that the Egyptian, the pharaohs, the ancient time leaders were not black, or they're not descendants of Africans, and they're actually Europeans or they're Arabs. So let's just wait for their explanation. Anyways, fam, what are your thoughts about this man from Atlanta that just discovered that he is royalty? I am Wongel Zalalam. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night.